Kyle, what was the impact of the candidacy process and your following of God's call on your life?
Well, I know that I, like probably many others, took a while to acknowledge the fact that God might be calling me into the ordained ministry. That idea that God could use even me was, something surprising to me, as I'm sure it is to many. And even though I may have had pastors, youth directors, friends, and others who were saying, "Kyle, we think God's calling you," I was a little hesitant. But it wasn't until about my junior year of college at Oklahoma City University that I finally decided, and through prayer and discernment and some prodding from mentors and friends, that I decided to enter the candidacy process to try to better discern. I knew God was calling me, but to what? And so through the candidacy process of meeting with mentors, with pastors, with the Wesley Foundation director there at OCU, going through that process of personal evaluation and psychological assessment, I came to learn that, yes, God was calling me to the ordained ministry, but also that God had given me specific gifts and graces for that ministry.
When I first started the process, I felt like they were trying to talk me out of it. The discernment and the Christian as minister kept giving you all the other options besides ordained ministry. And I had waited so long to answer my call that I found it a little frustrating, but I completely understand why it's necessary. Because it's being a pastor is not for anyone or everyone, but there are plenty of ways to serve God that are other options. And then I met my mentor, and he helped me so much and became my friend and helped me with my homework and seminary. And then most recently, my provisional group has been an incredible support system. And it's so nice to know there are other people in their first few years of ministry who have the same emotions and hurdles and triumphs that you do. So I don't know that I could do it without them.
I still remember when I graduated from the confirmation class, the pastor gave me the Bible and he said, "Now you are ready to go and share your faith with those around you." But that was not the end of the church supporting me and actually finding out how things were going in my life. I still remember high school, how I went to a local church. Yes, I was far away from home, but I had a local church pastor who was involved in my nurturing. And when I went to Africa University, I met campus ministers who were always checking on me and finding out how things were going with my soul. And I still remember taking a journey, 23 hours flight from home, coming to Oklahoma State University. I was surprised to see how the United Methodist Church was present when I landed in Stillwater, Oklahoma. Through campus ministry, I was really blessed to find such people who are willing to continue nurturing me throughout my life.
How do you view ministry differently now than when you first experienced and felt a call to ministry?
Well, when I was growing up, ministers were white men with gray hair, and I never even considered that I could be a minister. I had never seen a female pastor in my childhood. And then the first year I went to church camp, I experienced a female pastor, and it was the first time I ever thought, wow, maybe that's an option for me. And I remember thinking, she looks like she's having so much fun doing this job. And I received my call very early and then spent a lot of time thinking, if I do this, God will leave me alone. And so I have 17 years of ministry doing children and youth and things like that before I ever took that step and just said, okay, God, I'll listen. If you'll leave me alone, I'll do what you ask me to. And
I was so glad that when I was assigned actually a mentor, I shared with them how I was afraid and I did not want to become a pastor. And the reason being, my own father was a pastor and I knew how much he sacrificed for the ministry and for the church. And I could not imagine myself following my dad's footsteps. And I decided, no, I will serve the church, not as a pastor, but as a lay person. But when my mentor was assigned, I was in Stillwater District, they did not shy away from sharing with me how hard ministry is, which affirmed what I knew from a younger age. And I kept on wondering, is this really something that God is calling me to? And with all the time and the meetings I had with my mentor, my campus minister, they all continued affirming the call I had sensed as a young kid.
Tell us about the role of the of the scholarships that were provided to you through the Board of Ordained Ministry and even through the apportionment system?
Through the Board of Ordained Ministry, when I became a certified candidate and was attending seminary, they helped me quite substantially with scholarships. And what was a blessing about these scholarships was that it wasn't just a check to the school just for tuition, but they were scholarships that came to myself and were very open about this is almost a quality of life scholarship, is to ensure to help with the purchasing of books, of gas money and groceries or rent, whatever you need at that time. I was serving in a local church in Wakita and Manchester up north of Enid, 2-point charge, and was driving 4.5 hours one way up to St. Paul School of Theology in Kansas City, Missouri. So that scholarship was very beneficial to assist with that process and limit any financial hardships that we might have had at that time, or may still have today if we would have had to take out numerous loans.
I realized that there is no ways my family or myself could go to seminary. I could afford going to seminary. And when I applied to go to seminary, I was fortunate to have a scholarship. But as a certified candidate, I still remember the money I received from the Oklahoma conference. That was an investment that was placed upon my life. And that is one major reason that made me, after graduating from seminary, to realize that I had people who cared for me, who invested in my education, and who had seen and affirmed that call upon my life.
What would you say to someone who is thinking about a call to ministry? They're sensing a call of ministry, but they're hesitant. They're a little bit afraid to follow that call. What advice would you give to them?
First, I'd tell them that I believe that, yes, you are being called, because I believe that everyone is called in some way, shape, or form to serve God and through their church and here in their communities. And if they're seeking to what is, like I was originally, what is that calling and where am I to live that out, then I would strongly recommend them to meet with their pastor to begin that process of the ministry inquiry process, which can lead into candidacy, and that'll help them to discern, okay, where is God calling me? Is that in as a lay leader? Is that through a work in some other field, or is that to ordained pastoral ministry?
I'll affirm their hesitation, but at the same time and share with them that it's through fear and through hesitation that God can still work. I would share with them how just being afraid, being hesitant does not mean that God is not calling them in their lives.
It is the hardest thing you've ever done. You will know yourself in a way that you are completely unaware, and that it can be the most rewarding thing you've ever done in your life. And that God can use you in ways you never imagined. And to always have people you can talk to and bounce things off of and cry with. And I don't think anyone could do it without a network of colleagues and friends and support, like anything worthwhile.